Okay, welcome. So we're going to start the session with a bit of a recap from what we've covered at previous NaPTAN group sessions, um, and it's important that we do this because we're actually using the stuff that we're putting in this section here to help us write new help guidance and content that we're going to put on the website. So we're hopefully making some decisions here that we can use in the future to make sure that everyone's hopefully using NaPTAN in a similar way as possible and has the same understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. So just to confirm a few things, we've confirmed that the position for bus stops should be 1 meter by 1 meter squared, and that the best point to measure a bus stop is from where someone needs to stand to catch it. We are doing some work on lat long conversions, and I think just to let people know, we took out the latitude and longitude where it wasn't being provided. We stopped providing a DFT done conversion, and we're actually looking at putting that back in again. And I think once we finish some of the work on the redevelopment in the next couple of months, that'll be something that we look to replace and put that back in. So we'll keep you posted on how things are going with regards to that. But at the moment, this is the link to the tool that we suggest you use if you need to get a conversion for Easterns Northerns into lat long. We've done some stuff on coaches, on what is a coach and what is a bus. I won't go through everything on here. And we've got more work to do, I think it's fair to say, from the last session on how we're using fields and on the street versus schema to be able to give us a final decision, because there's been some, things have moved in different directions of the whole life time of NaPTAN, and so we're looking at what we need to do to deal with that. And we've done some work on an archive service, but again, we still need to do more work on how we can bring a service to you that's going to make sense for everybody. So more to do in that space. Okay, what I wanted to do then, I'll take any questions on the outcome so far. And what I'd like to do is to, before we go into upload, just do a very quick update on where we've got to with the NaPTAN work. It's been nearly 2 years now, or 18 months, that we've been working on NaPTAN in this way with the team that we have, and that bit of work is actually going to come to a close at some point in September, and we're going to reduce the team down from being quite a big team to a little bit of a smaller team. And so it's useful just to recap on where we've come, and also I just want to be able to show you in terms of upload. It's not a huge change that we're looking to make actually with the upload service. I think a lot of the bigger changes have already happened, and so to run you through where we are. So this is the 3-minute NaPTAN project update. So when I started on this in April 2022, this was the website that we were still using for guidance, as far as I remember. And although we started work on this in April 2020, the site had already been archived by the National Archives the year earlier. It'd been there for quite a while, and there was issues with the site in that it wasn't accessible. It was actually breaking the law in terms of accessibility legislation. It wasn't particularly secure, and there was a number of things like schemas not being implemented across the whole service, and the inability to actually properly implement some of the schemas that was causing issues. And we didn't really have an owner or an experienced team of people looking after the old service, and so that's where we were in April 2020, and we've done quite a lot of work since then, and I just wanted to take you through what we've done and why that's important for the upload that we're going to come to. So in July last year, we launched the private beta for the download service, and then we put that out to everybody in November last year, and we switched the old service off in January this year. But this hasn't just been the download service. I think that's really important to state that when we did this bit of work, what we actually did was create the validation and the storage of all the data that you were providing us, and using that to create a download. So when we come back to talk about the upload, it's actually, we're not talking about the whole upload process. That's actually already been happening for the best part of a year with the new service. So anything that you put into the old service, we've actually been taking a copy and putting that into the new service, and then it's been going through all of the validation and the check-in that's in the new service, or the same that was in the old service, so that we can trust that the download that we're getting today is as good as the one that was coming out of the older service. So when we talk about upload, we're not talking too much about those things because they've actually already been done, and we're focusing more on how we get the files into the system. So a lot of work was done to get to that point, and we sort of finished that bit of work in January, and so that's given us a download service that everybody's now been using for sort of 6 months. What we've also done is created a robust platform that's capable of changing. So in doing all the work on validation storage, what we've actually done is created an update and enabled us to create an upload service that can change. And so at the moment, there's a few people in private beta that are using the upload service just to test it out for us. I think when you move into a new building, they call it the toilet flushers. But yeah, the people who are finding out all the bugs and creaky bits in the system to help us perfect it before we bring it to the wider audience. So thank you to those people that are involved in that. But already we've been able to ensure that people could upload a 2.1, a 2.2, and a 2.4 schema file. Just going to flag, I haven't got two screens up today, so if anyone puts their hand up, which I'm more than welcome to do, I'm not going to see it, so do shout out if you want to interrupt. So we've been able to process properly the three schemas that we think people are mostly using and provide that data back to people. We haven't done anything with 2.5 because we don't think anyone's using it, but already we've been able to add a lot of value by providing the option to upload in any of the three schemas that people were providing data. The old NaPTAN service would accept it, but then would delete the excess data that you'd provide in a 2.2 and a 2.4 file, and that would never make it out to the users. So that's something that we've been able to do, and if needed to move to the 2.5 schema, we'd be able to do that relatively quickly. It would just be a case of adding the validation rules into the service, which they kind of already exist, so it'd just be a case of making sure that we reference them properly. So we've created a service that is capable of changing, and if you have ideas and suggestions on what we should do, you should make sure you get in touch and let us know, because we're always open to that. In terms of other achievements that we've had this year, we've now got a team of people who, I'll be honest, we don't know as much as the majority of you guys out there in terms of how NaPTAN works. We recognise that. But we have got a group of people who've been working on this for quite a while, and we're starting to get that knowledge internal to DFT that will hopefully help us understand what we need to do for you and deliver you a better service. So come September, we will be rolling off the team from ThoughtWorks who've been working with us for a while, but it's not everybody that's going. So there will be still a policy team, which will be Sarah Al-Adli, who I think some of you met, but she's the sort of head of data management and looks after NaPTAN on a day-to-day basis. And she works with Alex and Tom Westlake, who you may or may not have met, but they are looking after the policy decisions and running the service, answering the inbox. And then we also will have the service team, who are in place at the moment, but there's 6 people who will be looking at developing and sort of continually iterating and improving the service. So this is something that I've really fought for within the department, and not something that we sort of discuss much at these meetings or sort of discuss publicly, but we didn't have that team before, and we've had protracted discussions within the department about how best to support NaPTAN, and we within the team have been arguing that we needed a permanent service team because of the value of what NaPTAN gives everybody, and so now we've got a permanent team in place that will be able to look after NaPTAN into the future. So hopefully we won't get to the situation where we have sort of single points of failure and people who are involved in NaPTAN but really have moved on and are doing other things and aren't able to give the support that that they used to be able to. And that's the situation that we found ourselves in 2 years ago. Then, lastly, we've got a community of NaPTAN users, and I'm going to stop sharing for a second because, well, that's you guys. Thank you very much for coming to these meetings, those of you that have been coming a while, and welcome to the new people. It's really helped shape the product, being able to come and talk to you and understand how you're using NaPTAN and what you need from it in the future. And we hope to continue these meetings. And if there's time at the end, which I suspect there will be, it might be useful. I'd like to do a little bit of just get a bit of feedback on how you'd like to continue these meetings in the future, given that Dr. J had been running them for quite a while. They've moved on, and I'd like to understand, is that something we want to continue, and if so, in what format, and how do you want to be involved? Thank you for listening to that summary of where we've been and where we're going. Is there any questions on any of that? Okay, cool. So next we're going to move over to a demo, which is where everything potentially could go wrong. So we'll see how we do. It's a bit where I get nervous. Doing a tech demo is never an exciting, never an unstressful activity. So what I want to do is just show you the new service and how we would upload a file, bearing in mind that bearing in mind that we have done a lot of the work already in the download service, so the validation isn't something that we were looking to test in this space. And I'm going to use, for those of you that are quick-sighted, I am using the test environment because I'm going to upload a file, and I wouldn't want to upload a file in the production environment because I'm not a NaPTAN user. So we will create accounts for everybody and send you details if you don't already have one. And this will take you to the publish data page. And what we'll be asking you to do as NaPTAN unloaders is choose a file that you want to upload. My computer's running a bit slow. And upload your file. Now that is it in terms of the process. We'll just give that a second to pick up, and then the file will be processed. So currently we get the file in, it takes a bit of time to validate it, and then overnight it batch processes it and makes it available in the output. But as you can see here, we've managed to validate that file in a few seconds, so it's pretty quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what will happen if I upload a file that has issues. Again, this won't take too long. So we've been testing this with users over the last few weeks and getting feedback from them and iterating. So you can see here that I've changed the ATCO code to be a ridiculous sized ATCO code, and the system picked up that that was an error, and it's given me the error message. So in terms of uploading a file, at the moment that's the extent of the service, and then the only other thing that we'll be making live in the next few days is being able to check when the file was last updated. So we've got a page at the moment on the old service that provides this information, and we'd like to replace that page with this page, which would should allow you to type in the ATCO area, or you could pick up either text or the ATCO number, and then if you select it will tell you that this was last updated at 1324 on the 14th of July. So the system knows it's in, and so that data has been published and is available for anybody to download. So rather than waiting overnight, it's happened pretty quickly. Now, admittedly, I did choose the 920 file, which is one of the smaller files. So it will take a little bit longer if you are Transport for West Midlands or TfL, because I expect your files are a little bit bigger, but still the process remains the same. I'm going to stop sharing there and ask if there's any. Oh, there's comments in the chat which I haven't seen. Oh, is there any questions on that process? Hi, Gordon.
Hi, Adrian. I thought I read on the page there that you're not allowed to upload zip files.
That's correct at the moment.
Novus, the product we use, that's what it creates, a zip file, an XML zip file.
So
that's what we use as well. I just take the file out, the zip file, and upload that.
Yeah, we use Novus. I think you find the default is zipped, but there's a button to tick to create it unzipped.
Brilliant, thank you.
So it might be worth asking them to set the default as unzipped for future reference.
Gordon, thanks for the question. Di and Tricia, thank you very much for the answer. You answered it much better than I could, having not been that familiar with the Trapeze software. That's why we love the community. You know more about it than we do. Gordon, did you Did that answer the question? Okay.
That's brilliant. And while our colleagues were saying that, I've opened up the zip and see it is just a single XML document. I've always avoided opening it to save corruption, and I've been doing it for 12 years or something. So that's a first.
Listen, I've been working on this for 2 years, and a day doesn't go past or a week doesn't go past where I don't learn something new about NaPTAN. It's been quite it's interesting. There's some people here who've got very deep knowledge in it, which I definitely respect. Are there any other questions on the service? Because I'd like to ask you a question and to get you to do something just to make this slightly interactive. So I'm going to go to that in a second, unless there's any other questions. Okay, cool. I'm hoping you can all access the mural board. I'm just going to share the link again, just in case late joiners don't have that. But what I'd like people to do, if we spend a couple of minutes on the board, and please accept my apologies for the awful icons, but these are the ones that come out of the box in Mural. What I'd like people to do is to take a sticky and put a sticky on this board somewhere, either at this end to suggest this is I don't like this, or I'm not happy with this, or I think you're missing something, and tell me what that is. And if this seems okay to you, put something at this end and let me know how comfortable you would be using the service. Are you happy with it as it's been presented? So I'm really interested in, how happy are you more on this end, or it's missing something, or it doesn't do something for me at this end. And if I put the timer on for 2 minutes, I'll give you a chance just to have a think about that and think about any feedback you'd like to give on that. I appreciate it's quite simple to use, but I would just have a cast back to the last time you uploaded on the old system. What was on there that was helpful? Is there anything missing that you think we need to have that in this system? I'll give you 2 minutes to have a think about that. I am on mute. Does anyone need any more time? Sorry. Excuse me. So I'll read out each of these, and we've got loads of time today. So if we take each one as we go, I think that would be helpful. I'm not planning to go until 3 o'clock. So will there be a single landing pad URL for NaPTAN service, or will we always need to go to the specific upload download sites individually? That is a fantastic question. And actually, we are planning some comms on that either, well, probably next week now. One of the things we're looking to do in the next few days is to introduce a NaPTAN homepage. So we're developing this at the moment. We've got the sort of ideas done, and we've been testing it with a few people, but we will hopefully launch it in the next few days. And that will provide a homepage that can launch you either into Upload or into Download or into Last Updated. And we're also looking at introducing the black sort of navigation bar at the top, which I think is present in the current site, that allows you to get to all of the different bits. So that will help us connect up the site a lot better, because at the moment we've got Download, which everyone is using, and then we've got Upload, which is isolated and not connected to anything. Lucy may be able to pop a picture of the screen so you can see what that looks like, either in chat or, oh, there we go. Lucy, thank you for that. So in the chat, Lucy's shared a picture, I think, of...
Please let me know if that's not accessible. I think it might be, oh, there you go. Adrian's got it up anyway.
Lovely. So it looks a little bit like this, where we've got things separated into NaPTAN, NPTG, and publishing data, which will be initially just related to NaPTAN, and that's where you go to do that. So at the moment, the default homepage is sort of the download page, but this is what we're going to introduce that is going to link up the whole service. Hopefully that answers that question. And we'll put that out in a few days, as I said, but it'd be really great to get feedback on that when you see that, because if there's things that are missing or you have comments on the structure, we can always make amendments. I'll move on to the next comment. It was easy to use, but I would like to see a function where we could upload multiple authorities, not just one. That is definitely something that we're looking at. I think we've got a provisional solution in mind for that, but we haven't done any work on it at the moment in terms of development work. I don't think it'll take too long when we get to it, but I think it's more likely to be available in September. So we're asking people just to, if they don't mind, just to put up with a single file upload process at the moment, but conscious that, yeah, that is really important. Andy, who uploads 33, has asked me a couple of times when that's coming, and we will get that out as soon as we can. Thank you. So it all seems very straightforward. Thank you very much. Looks simple and easy to use. Thank you. Do we get a confirmation email? So we haven't put in any emails confirmations into the system. Sorry, I'm expecting 2 deliveries today, and something's just come through the front door, but I don't think I'm needed. So we're not planning to put in any email confirmations or acknowledgements. The old service used to work on the basis that it would take about 30 to 40 minutes, I think, to validate the file, and then it would batch process things overnight. So there'd have to be this concept of, well, you need to check the next day to make sure that that went okay. From what I've demonstrated, hopefully we can show that it's a very quick process now. It's not going to take that time. And so we were hoping to move away from needing to provide the email confirmations when we feel that the confirmation on the page will let you know that the file has been done and it's available to be downloaded straight away. And so there's less need for the sort of back and forth with emails. I don't know who raised that, but do you want to go for any further on the confirmation email?
Sorry, no, that was me. No, it was just a query. It was just something we'd discussed in the development on the beta thing. So
yeah, we've definitely looked into it and thought about it, but it feels like if we don't have to, I think that might have benefits when we look at the sort of future of NaPTAN in terms of, can we move to APIs and computers doing the uploading and downloading without human beings needing to be as involved in the process, which would start to sort of eliminate the need for emails at this point. So that is our hope. Obviously, if it's starting to present issues for you, then you'll have to let us know and come and talk to us. But
yeah, I mean, I suppose the only thing is that if you've got multiple authorities to upload, it's just keeping track of which ones you've done and which ones you haven't. That would be my other thing.
Yes, and hopefully we can get you that information from the last updated page, And that the last updated page is something that I'm definitely keen to explore expansion and sort of building out on, because I think it's got more potential than we are giving it at the moment. That it's more of an initial design at the moment, and I think we could expand on that. And I wonder if that might be able to somehow answer some of your queries with that, Di. But I think keep talking to us about it. Bill, thank you. Not much different. Yes, hopefully it isn't too much different. The process is relatively simple, straightforward on both accounts. Looks simple to use. Would like to have an overall national table of last uploaded rather than select your own. I like to have a nosy at what people are doing. Quite right. And I think that's one thing that we're conscious of, that the last updated page is very much sort of an MVP at the moment. It's probably good enough, we think, to go live and to have you use in this period. But I'm keen that we do more interviews with you on last updated and see what we might want to do to improve that. The last page that we had was very wide. Actually, you had to scroll a very long way to see anything, and you could only fit 10 on a page, and so the design caused us some constraints and issues. So we wanted to avoid that and take a different approach. But then the next thing is how can we iterate on that and make it better, perhaps providing more information. So we'll continue to work on that and work with you to develop that. And can you add upload report addressee? I'm wondering, is this relating to emails? I'm not sure. It'd be good to get a bit more information on this one, if that's possible.
Adrian, that was myself. I think you've covered it with Di.
Cool.
It was just about spreading email back from you to the rest of the team. But if you're doing away with email, then that Di's answer is great.
Bill. Thanks, Gordon. And thank you for the I've learned loads during these meetings. That's really nice to hear. Quick tangent. We've been writing some help content which was aimed at sort of new users and people new to NaPTAN or using it for the first time, just because the learning curve, we think, from starting from scratch to jumping into the 200-page schema guide is a bit difficult. We've had some feedback. Thanks, Di. We took all the feedback on board and we are sort of putting that out. But I think we've learned so much, and we're really keen to make it easier for new people coming into NaPTAN, because we recognise how hard it was for us to get started in NaPTAN. And so, yeah, hopefully people can learn from these sessions and we can make some more helpful content on the website that's going to help that onboarding process, because it is a very complicated. Okay, so thank you so much for your contributions for that little section. If there's no more comments, I'm going to just quickly talk about the rollout. Not much to say here, but just to give you some sort of headline dates. We have got accounts created, I think, for the people in private beta. There's about 9 of you. And then we've got a few people who are sort of on the reserve list who we've created and sent accounts for. Chris, I hope you've got yours now. I'm assuming you have, but if you haven't, do please let me know, and I'll make sure that happens this week. So we've got about 15 people using private beta at the moment. We've got a meeting on Wednesday to a go no go meeting with our sort of sponsors to roll this out to everybody. And if that goes well next Wednesday, then we will choose a date soon after that to send account details to as many of the people as we have details for, and we'll open it out to everybody at that point. What we're looking to do is to get one account for everybody, and so we don't share accounts. I know in the past there's been a tradition that an organization might have one account and they would share the passwords, but in the interest of security, it's really thanks, Chris. In the interest of security, it's really important that we have one account per person and that we don't share accounts. One of the biggest threats that we have for these types of systems is actually from internal users, perhaps a disgruntled employee or whatever that might be, using their position to be able to do something unfortunate to the data set. And so it's really important that we have one account per person, because if something does happen, we'll be able to trace it back to that account, and then we'll know who was responsible for that activity. If an account is shared, it makes it much harder for us to understand who the person was that was responsible for that, and just generally reduces our ability to investigate how it happened. So we're really keen that people don't share accounts, and if it turns out that everyone is sharing accounts in sort of 6 months' time, then we might have to introduce things like multi-factor authentication just to make sure that whoever the account owner is also connected to a mobile phone or other device like that. That may be something that we do anyway, but it will be hastened if we sort of can't crack the issue with the shared accounts. So it's really important to me that we have individual accounts per person. The forgot your password is now working, so you can, if you want to, create a new password every time you log in, if you've ever done that. That's how I got into my HMV account for about 5 years. I think it's just to never remember the password and always request a new one. The system is capable of putting up with that, so I'd rather you did that than shared accounts with others. And what we're looking to do is close the old upload system by the end of August. That will include NPTG. Actually, we'll move NPTG across. So we're looking to move everything across to the new service move everybody onto the new service in a week or so, and then close the old service at the end of August. So it's about 4 to 5 weeks time. Conscious that people will be on holiday over that period, and it's probably not the best time in the world to do this, but we're keen to do most of the work in the space while ThoughtWorks are still with us, so we've got more hands to deal with things. But also, I think we've shown the process is relatively simple. The account creation process is also very simple and pretty quick, and we don't think there'll be issues with people getting into the system. We've been testing it with people in the last few weeks, and as Chris said, people have used it and uploaded, and there haven't been any issues today. There was one issue this week where somebody uploaded a file and it looked like it was different to the input. The output that they got seemed to be different to putting it into the old service, but it turned out their file had corrupted. So it was a problem at the user's end rather than ours. So there have been issues, but not any with the new system. Touch wood or touch plywood. So fingers crossed, it is robust. We think it is. We think we've done everything to make sure it is. And it's very simple to use. So if you don't get to use the new system in August and we've already switched off the old one, you can just get in touch with us and we can handhold you through the process of using the new system. So hopefully we don't cause anyone any issues with their uploads. Does that give anybody any concerns or thoughts? Cool. Okay. Well, in that case, I haven't got huge amounts more to say about the upload, so I'll move on to feedback. Before we do, are there any final thoughts generally or on anything on NaPTAN that you want answering, or are we happy just to go straight to the feedback and finish a little early? Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to put the time on for a couple of minutes. And then let's do some feedback, and then I'm going to do a bit of an after session party and just get a few thoughts from you on the community side of things. So if you can think about the upload process and how you feel towards the new upload process, are there any parts of it that give you joy? Is there anything that frustrates you, or is there anything that makes you sad? Things that are missing or things that should be happening? If I put the timer on for 2 minutes, if you take a think about anything that's missing or anything that fits any of those 3 criteria, put some stickies on and we'll take that feedback away and think about it. Thanks, everyone. I think we've just got a little bit of feedback there. Thank you very much. And all positive. It's not been a very long meeting, I accept that, so there aren't huge things to comment on. But thanks for coming, and thanks for adding your thoughts and adding the content. So whilst you're all here, and on the subject of the community, with Dr. J moving on, I wondered if it was a useful time just to think about how we want these meetings to continue. So do we want these meetings to continue? And if so, how often should they be? And what sort of content do you want covering in these things? Because we've been working a lot on the redevelopment and asking questions that help feed into the redevelopment work. As we move into sort of more continuous improvement phase, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on what else we could be doing, or how, what direction, what direction these meetings should take. If you scroll to the top right hand corner of the mural board, I've put a title as a community we should, I'm either happy to have a discussion or get you to put stickies on there. Firstly, are we happy to continue these meetings on sort of a monthly frequency? I've got a nod from Gordon. Anyone else verbally want to chip in on that one? Di?
Yeah, I'm happy to learn from each other, I think is.
Gordon?
I think, Adrian, the chance to meet with people that actually know what we're talking about. This is such a boring subject if you're not in the scope, and it's just trying to get the management chain and the development chain to realise that they can't put this back in the cupboard. It's just good to sit with people who know what NaPTAN actually does.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. Might be slightly controversial, but on that, because I feel like that is actually a lot of the value of this. That sometimes the sessions I've come out and gone, we didn't really get anywhere with that, other than knowing that we all do it differently, and there's not going to be a way to reconcile that. But part of the value is understanding that, and understanding the differences and the different approaches that people are taking, and potentially learning from that. And one of the questions I had was, would anyone in this group be happy to perhaps chair one of these sessions in the future on a theme that's important to them, or something that they are interested in? There's no pressure to commit to it, but as a concept, would people be willing to do that? Okay, I'll dial down the ask a little bit, because I'm quite happy to chair these while I'm here. I think, would you like to be more involved in the subject matter that's going to be discussed at these, and have an opportunity to contribute suggestions to what should be covered at these meetings? Chris?
Yeah, I think that latter suggestion of yours makes sense. I was going to suggest, perhaps we could have a meeting in a couple of months' time to see how the rollout has gone. Perhaps in a month, that's okay. I think that there will come a natural end to the meetings as to the sort of the development of NaPTAN, except, of course, I suspect that it's going to be used in rather more downstream projects, or potentially could be used. And so I'm thinking of things like Street Manager, a variety of other things that will incorporate NaPTAN data, and it might be an idea to have the occasional meeting to discuss, to see whether or not it's being used seamlessly, or whether there's anything else we need to do to move that forward. Yeah, just a thought.
I think so, and I think because we've got the team that it's going to continue to look at NaPTAN, there will be still new things that we try to do, and we'll hopefully move to using APIs in the future. And we want to be able to have a forum where we can still bring these things and still connect with you on those things. In terms of the next 2 meetings, we've got scheduled in August. I'm going to come back and just do an update on how the rollout's gone. Hear if anyone's got any teething problems, or just hear across the community how people are feeling about it before we switch off the old service. So we'll schedule that in. I'm on holiday quite a lot in August, but towards the end of August, I think in the week commencing, I think it's the 21st or 22nd, before the bank holiday. And then we'll have a meeting in September to talk about the future of NaPTAN, which is some work that's happening at the moment. And some of you may or may not have been contacted by Deloitte, who are running that bit of work for us. And they're looking at accessibility data, and do we want to put facilities information into NaPTAN or have it as a separate data set but linked or aligned to NaPTAN, and looking at a few other things like the depth of information around rail platforms, for example. So those are some of the things that we're looking at, and they'll come back and do a presentation on that in September in one of those meetings. So we've got 2 meetings scheduled in. So I think that means that in October there's a question of, do we want to do something in October on potentially help and guidance, or links to other systems and other developments that we know about. I will put those thoughts back to the rest of the team in DFT, and we'll think about how we want to take that forward. Any other thoughts? Okay, Bill. In that case, thanks everybody for coming. I think unless there's any other questions, we'll have an hour back, which Jay never gave you, so I'm sort of pleased about that. Cool. Thanks very much for coming, everybody, and see you all at the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Adrian. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.